Nestled in the lush forest that garnish WA's Darling Range is the peaceful town of Dwellingup. After being destroyed by bushfire in 1961, the town has recovered to become a favourite adventure holiday destination. It provides the perfect setting for camping, walk trails, fishing and whitewater sports. Located just an hour and a half southeast of Perth, it also feeds the appetite of the vast West Australian mountain bike community. Unlike many other trail areas, mountain bikers receive support from the state government's Department of Environment and Conservation. Parks and Visitor Service Operation Officer Elisa Skillen is part of the DEC team.
We work with the mountain bike clubs such as Wamba and Perth Mountain Bike Club to develop a partnership with them, so they develop a sense of ownership of the trails so they can promote the trails for use to other people. We work with them to create signage such as trailhead signs and signage on the trail. We deal with the environmental approvals if they want to create new trail or modify existing trail. We also provide some maintenance support. For example, if a tree falls down on the trail, we can come and remove the tree as well.
With support from the state government and local council, the Dwellingup region hosts sections of the internationally renowned Mundabiddi Trail.
The Mundabiddi Trail is a world-class off-road cycling trail. It currently goes from Perth to Manjimup, and they're looking to extend it to Albany by the end of the year. We consider the Mundabiddi to be the spine, so it passes by Turney Hill and Marinup circuit. So if people want to ride from Dwellingup to those trails, they can ride on the Mundabiddi, then do a loop on the cross-country trails and then ride back to Dwellingup.
Whilst only in its fourth year, the Akbilong Commit Dwellingup 100 is already regarded as WA's premier long-distance mountain bike race. Headlining this year's race was red-hot national marathon champion Andy Blair.
Oh look, to me, coming over to WA, it's awesome. There's a really good crew of mountain bikers here in the form of Peter Haddon and Craig Cook, also John Greig, and they don't give away any races over here. So, I know every time I come here, I have a challenge on my hands, and I've been lucky enough to get a couple of wins over in WA, but certainly last year all I could manage at Dwellingup was 4th place, so I'll be hoping to go a bit better than that.
Whilst in Western Australia, Andy spent time with local cycling sensation Rhys Tucknott. Rhys is the reigning Australian junior cross-country champion and winner of last year's 40-kilometre race at Dwellingup.
Andy he's a great inspiration to have here. He keeps me on track with my schoolwork. He also keeps me on track with my riding, and he's one of the smoothest riders I know. Also his work ethic and how he runs his races, he's pretty good tactically wise, so yeah, I really enjoy having him around.
Riding with Rhys on his local trails, it's a bit of an eye-opener to see how quick a young 16-year-old can actually go, and certainly on some of the sections that he's pretty familiar with, he kind of put me under pressure this afternoon, so yeah, it's probably good for me that he's only in the 40k tomorrow.
With around 3,000 visitors flooding into the tiny town on race morning, Dwellingup was abuzz with cycling-related activity.
With a population of only 800 or 900, and then you've got over 900 starters today, so that's an indication of how many people have come to town, plus all the family members and the others that have come along to the backup crews and all those sort of things, so it's great to see it.
Once again, the Akbilong Commit Dwellingup 100 catered for all levels of riders through its 14, 40 and 100 kilometre race distances, as well as the school's cross-country challenge. The 14 kilometre riders were the first to depart, with a record number of participants experiencing their first mountain bike event. The 100 kilometre distance riders were next away. They would be tackling a course that was redesigned after sections of the old course were damaged by storms earlier in the year. This year's course contained far more single track than in previous years. The final group to start were the Dwellingup 40 kilometre riders. The competitive field was full of future cross-country stars eager to take Tucknott's crown.
For the 40k event, of course, we've got some of the best young riders in the nation here. Rhys Tucknott, Darcy Perrotta, Sam Rubin.
Out on the course, the riders were soon confronted with the steepest climb of the day. In front of them, Andy Blair and former race winner John Gregg had opened a lead of several minutes, with Blair on a mission to stamp his dominance on the event. Behind them, local rider David Hind was pushing hard to stay in touch with the leading pair. As the leaders tracked along the undulating course at an average speed of around 25 kilometres an hour, much of the remainder of the field were travelling at a more leisurely pace. For many participants, it is a challenge against themselves more than anyone else, with the ultimate goal to finish the event before the sun sets and in one piece. A regular component of the 100-kilometre course is the steep rutted drop known as Hell's Gate. The hard, dusty ground ensured riders' braking systems and technical ability would push to their limits. Many riders, including Canadian Andrew Royal, couldn't conquer the gate and had the injuries to prove it.
Yeah, you know, as with when you're always racing, you're giving it 110, and you got to pay the price sometimes when you hit some lines a bit too quick. And today I did just that.
On the way, it's up, came out, feel like going home now. Fails and turns to luck, words aren't making it, it seems.
Another element of the Dwellingup region is ball-bearing light gravel. Known as pea gravel, this offers very little traction to riders as it sits atop the rock-hard trail surfaces.
Also, the pea gravel adds another dimension to things. Doing corners on the pea gravel is a bit of an art, so that's always been a learned technique, I guess you could say.
Struck about grapple up and down, down, down. Hip hustle and higher fire. On a cloud turning round, down a sealed be all up and out.
Under the warm, sunny conditions, it was Andy Blair who was able to break away from John Gregg. However, with his local experience, Gregg would soon catch Blair, setting up what was to be an electrifying finish. While still holding third place, David Hind's front wheels indicated he wasn't having the ideal race. The buckled wheel took away any hope he had of chasing down the two race leaders.
Basically came into a corner with a bit too much heat and went over the bars. The old turned the handlebars and went straight over, so I must put a lot of pressure on the wheel. And so last 25 Ks it was rubbing against the forks, which is annoying, so that's life. What can you do? It's mountain biking, so. Anyone want to buy a front wheel?
In just 3 years as the official event charity, Muscular Dystrophy Western Australia has raised over $250,000. Muscular Dystrophy WA's John Gummer worked with the event organisers to establish the Ride for Someone Who Can't.
We did it.
We set up a model where we matched up someone with muscular dystrophy with a rider. And the initial year we had, I think, some 30 odd riders. This year we've got 50 riders who are riding for someone who can't. To have someone come out and do something for them when they would love to do it themselves is incredible. Dylan, I know, would love to ride. He has very, very little movement, and looking down at his photo on my bike during the ride was just amazing. There were times I just thought, I can't do this, and I looked down and I thought, toughen up. You can do this.
As the finish line drew nearer, many of the competitors found an extra burst of energy to propel them across the line, but none more so than Australian marathon champion Andy Blair. A sprint to the finish saw him overcome John Gregg to end a seesawing battle that lasted almost 4 hours and 9 minutes.
It was a pretty tough day. I tried to make the race as hard as possible, so did a fair bit of work early on, and yeah, unfortunately for Craig Cook and Peter Hatton, they had some problems, and the lead group of four sort of soon whittled down to myself and John Gregg, and I managed to get rid of John towards the finish, and but then I sort of hit the wall and he came back at me and we came in together for a sprint finish.
He rode away from me with about 25 k's to go, and I thought, okay, that's it, I'll see him at the end. But we got into the Marrinup single track and I was cramping, suffering, but yeah, not long after we finished, I caught up to him and I was going, gee, he must be suffering worse than me.
Behind them, Hind wobbled his way across the finish line in third place, a credible 16 minutes in arrears. In the women's event, Hayes recruiting rider Leonie Burford continued the run of success for the Perth-based women's team.
The Hayes team is a new team for WA. We've got 9 girls and 3 of us do mountain bike and the rest are all road and track based. I hope we can get over to Eastern States next year and race some of the NRS races.
She finished the course in 5 hours and 7 minutes, almost 15 minutes ahead of Melanie Webb in second and 30 minutes clear of third place rider Stephanie Van Amerongen. In the 40-kilometre race, Rhys Tucknott defended the title he won last year as a 15-year-old. He edged out 2 other young guns, Darcy Perotta and Sam Rubery.
So I think I'll step up to the 100k event next year when my road Ks also step up for under 19s.
As the day faded, the last of the riders made their way into Dwellingup, some with over 8.5 hours of racing behind them.